Alright, this week we're going to tie just a standard woolly bugger. I'm going to do this with a cone head. I don't fish these anymore. I don't even carry them with me. But there's no denying, I mean, they are very effective. It's a very popular fly. There's so many variations of it. You know, you got the complex twists and the JJs and all that stuff. There's so many different variations. These things are great, especially out here in the West. You know, I mean, they could very well dead drifted. They could be, you know, dead drifted and twitched or whatever it may be. They can pass for a salmon fly. There's just so many different ways that you can fish these, so many different things that they can imitate, whether it be a tiny sculpin, a minnow, bait fish, whatever color combination you decide to tie this in. I just don't do it anymore. I don't tie them anymore. I don't fish them. But I probably should. I mean, they're a great pattern. I mean, they've been around forever. They're time tested. It's just I fish so many different things now these days. The woolly buggers like the last on the list, and like I said, I don't even carry them. But who knows? I mean, maybe things will come around full circle. I used to fish them a ton as a kid, and I caught a lot of fish off of them. So I have just an orange cone head on this, and then I'm gonna take some 20 thousandths lead wire, and I'm gonna throw this on here. Not so much for extra weight. If you've watched like the Peanut Envy or the Conehead TNA, I do this. I just do this to secure the cone head, to keep it from moving around, just to keep it more stable. So I'm going to go ahead and work my thread through here, secure this. If you want to, you can throw a little bit of zap on there or some sort of glue just to keep that more secure. But I mean, you can see I'm flicking that around and it's not even moving any, so it's all good. Without the glue, this is just a size 6 4x long. I don't even know what to take. This is a TMC 93, 95, whichever size you decide to style of hook. It doesn't really matter for these woolly buggers. It's just what I had laying around, and I was like, yeah, we'll do a woolly bugger on this hook. So to start off on this, I'm going to go with some black Marabou. Trim this off. If you get to tying a lot of these, this is where you can use your junk Marabou. They sell bugger packs, but quite honestly, you don't need to buy Marabou specifically for woolly buggers. Just use the stuff that you won't use for your regular articulated streamers. You watched any of my videos, I explained. I got a video about working with Marabou to where, you know, selecting the right stuff for certain flies, it does make a big difference on the appearance of your fly. Not so much to the fish, but the overall appearance of your fly. Having the right Marabou goes a long way. With the woolly bugger, use your junk stuff. Use the stuff that you're throwing away, or, you know, the just garbage that you wouldn't use on the other flies. Go ahead and use that. This is a good spot to get rid of it. Let's see, we'll go ahead and just work that all the way up to the front, and I'm going to take probably, I don't know, go with probably 4 strands. That one has a little kick in it. We're going to go 4 strands of this crystal flash. This is copper and blue. Just because I think it's really cool the way it looks, so I'm going to use it. The dog's having a pretty good dream there. So I'm going to take this copper and blue, and I'm just going to throw this in here. I'm going to go, I did the 4 strands, I cut it in half, so that gives me 8. And even my math can figure this out. I'm going to have 16 strands of copper flash. You could probably cut it back a little bit. I I just like the little flashy tail, so I'm going with 16 strands of it. So there we go. We got our first stack of Marabou in. We got our flash. Now I'm going to take a second stack of Marabou, and we're going to go over top of this. The only thing you really have to watch out for is when you use this junk Marabou, some of these stems get a little bit thicker, and you can add a lot of bulk really quick. Just be mindful of that. So I'm going to throw this over top of it, measure it out the same distance, and then I'm going to keep my bulk on here. Bring this around. The first one I led on my side. This one I'm bringing on the camera side for the extra bulk. That way it doesn't get heavy on one side or the other. And one section there I don't really like too much, but it works. It works. Next up, I'm going to grab, let's see here, brassy size wire, that's small. I'll just use this red for my rib or my counter wrap, if I can get it out of here. There it is. So this is just brassy sized red wire. I'm going to go ahead and set this in, tie it in on my side. Flip this over so you can see it. I'm going to fold this over just like any other time I tie in wire. I'm going to fold this over, tie back over top of it. This is going to be used to counter wrap my Schlappen. And then I'm going to use just this. I'm going to keep it on the card. This is just black chenille. I'm going to go ahead and pick some of this stuff off to where I'm tying in as little material as possible. Hopefully I'm just getting the nylon here and not the actual material itself, because that'll wind up giving you an extra bump that's tough to get rid of. And that's all for the fly tire. I mean, it's just to make a good symmetrical looking body. Doesn't really matter for the fish. Go figure. So like I said, I'm going to just keep this on the card. That way I don't waste any material cutting it off and trying to figure out distances and all that. And I'm just going to go right to the front. Before I do that, I can see my thread getting away from me. I'm going to half hitch with one hand, hold the material in the other, because I didn't do it from the beginning. Get back here. I'm going to throw this in the cradle. If you want, I mean, you can just, if you don't have the rotary function, obviously just wrap this by hand. Not a big deal. And go ahead and take this right to the front. Take this all the way up. All the way up to your tungsten head. And like I said, you don't have to do this with a tungsten head. You can do this with a, probably a 3/16 bead. You can do this without anything at all. I mean, you can just do it unweighted. All depending. I mean, there's not really any hard and fast rules for this. So we have our wire to counter wrap on this, and then I'm going to tie in this section, or I'm going to tie in this Schlappen. And I like the Schlappen as opposed to the saddle hackle. It's just a little webbier, a little wispier. Seems like it gives you a little bit more motion in the water, but it's by no means a necessity. You do not have to tie this with Schlappen. You can use regular neck hackle if you want. It's just going to be really rigid and it's not going to move, just know that. But for the overall profile, it's going to be about the same. So we're going to go ahead and get back there. Go ahead and tie this off and half hitch. I'm going to grab my hackle pliers here because I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit short. And we're going to go this direction. Let's get one more wrap in there. There we go. Just go ahead and pick all of this stuff out a little bit. Just kind of free it up for when you rip your wire through there. It's not going to trap as many fibers. And then we're going to counter wrap this with the red wire. And just rip it right through there as quick as you can. You're going to trap less if you go quicker. Call that good. Get my junk scissors here. This wire is a little bit thicker than the stuff I normally use for, you know, if I were going to cut it with my regular, my good scissors, you know, brassy size, you probably shouldn't do that with your good stuff. You know, extra small or small, I mean, you can get away cutting one or two of them here and there, and it's not really going to hurt your scissors too much, especially if you cut with the backside. But this stuff, it'll ruin them in a heartbeat. So the last thing I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to take just a little bit. And this is just to cover up my thread wraps and cover up the little gap that I have right here on the body, or between the body and the head. Oh, let's see where it's at here. This is just to make a better transition here, and I have some out of there. I have one or two strands here that's not wanting to cooperate. I think I got it. This GSP can separate every once in a while, especially working with this stuff. The cone heads, you know, tying around them and everything, it can really make a mess, but easy to fix. Easy to fix. So this is just some UV black ice dub. I'm going to throw just a little bit of this in a dubbing loop, and you can just run it through like a regular dubbing rope, noodle, whatever you call them, whatever your reference is that you use. You can just spin them on there by hand if you want. I just like the way this looks. It's a little more picked out. It's a little cleaner in my opinion. So I'll take a couple extra seconds and do it. But bring this cradle back around, and then we'll just go right like that. 3 or 4 quick wraps with your dubbing, everything's good. And it just fills that gap in a little bit, just makes it look a little bit cleaner. And this is an opportunity too. I mean, if you're doing something that's not all black, if you want to change up color combinations or whatever it may be, this is a good place to do it. If you want to put a hot spot on something, if you're not using a bright orange bead like I am in this one, you could do, you know, if it were a all black with just a black cone head on it, throw some red dubbing in there or whatever. I mean, there's no rules on this, just whatever looks good to you, to the fly tire, go ahead and do it. Get as creative as you want. I stay pretty dull and boring. I just went all black, but I gotta get something. I used orange, right? But there you have it. There is the cone head woolly bird. Like I said, you can do these in just the brass beads. If you want, you can do them without the bead, whatever it is. There's no rules to this. Get creative, do whatever you want. These things still catch a ton of fish, there's no doubt about it. It's just, there's so many other streamers out there that I tie these days, and I tie and I fish, that this one's just not even in a rotation anymore, but there's no denying how successful of a pattern this has been over the years. So, tie them up, give them a shot. We'll probably do a JJ's here before too long. That's a pattern that I do carry with me, and I'll get into that one a little bit later. But if y'all have any questions on this one, if you have any comments, leave them with me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.